Get in on the secret. September is one of the best times to visit the Boardwalk Plaza Hotel in Rehoboth Beach. The weather is grand, and just steps from the sand, you can relax and experience the convenience of their oceanfront location right on the Rehoboth Beach Boardwalk. Enjoy Victoria's Restaurant, the charming Plaza Pub and room service. Visit boardwalkplaza.com and book your perfect getaway today, or call 800-33-BEACH for fast, friendly assistance. Thanks to the Boardwalk Plaza for being the Bridge Podcast Network sponsor.
Why do Christians believe in Jesus? Part 2, that's what we're talking about today.
This is the best part. This is the highlight of the trilogy.
Part 2, it's the Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
The Two Towers.
Man.
Attack of the Clones.
Well, that's less.
Yeah.
But before that,
yeah,
we were riding high, we were sitting pretty. Now we're just kind of...
The Temple of Doom.
Oh, no. No.
Hey, this is Why Do Christians Believe in Jesus? Part 2, Prophecies Fulfilled by Jesus.
Of all the ones we've done, this is one of them. How about that?
I'm Mark Dickey.
And I'm Burt Miller.
This is the Why Do Christians podcast. Hey, welcome to the show. My name is Mark Dickey. I host the afternoon show on the Bridge radio station. My co-host is Pastor Burt Miller from Solid Ground Church. Burt, how are you?
Mark, now broadcasting in 4K, Dickey, in surround sound, just up there on his Samsung frame with all the OLED HD.
I paid $200 for a scratch and dent TV 8 years ago. Okay. I do not have a frame in my house.
Well, there you go, Dickie. I'm doing well.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Great,
doing good. I got some unsweetened tea, which is my favorite lunchtime beverage.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just my jam.
Oh, hey, to each their own. Okay.
Yeah. So it's going to be a good one. This is actually my second one, so I am primed and ready to discuss the prophecies of Jesus.
Let's. Okay.
It's probably my favorite party topic.
Really? Hi, I'm Mark. I'm from Delaware, and I love to just talk about fulfilled prophecies about Jesus.
Have I ever told you how Jesus came to be?
Man, okay.
Did you get that reference?
No.
That was
Saruman
from
Lord of the Rings. Man, of course.
Yeah.
All right, were elves once. Oh, man, I can't believe I missed that. Sorry. You okay?
I'm really upset. You were one of the people who should have gotten that.
I know. I was a ruined co-host.
It betrayed Mark.
Yeah, okay.
All right, okay. Why do Christians believe in Jesus? So this is part 2. We thought... This is there's a lot of different directions. If you haven't listened to part 1, that's the kind of the intellectual, logical arguments for believing in Jesus. Just kind of like, hey, he's a historical figure.
There's good evidence for believing in Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah. Now this episode, specifically prophecies fulfilled by Jesus, is what we're going to be talking about. And these are all going to be found in the Bible. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting about this is these are things that the Bible prophesied. This person is going to come.
Yeah.
And nobody could just kind of fake their way into being that person, right?
Yeah, maybe we set this up a little bit.
Yeah.
So you've got the Hebrew Bible, which is our Old Testament, right? Written over a long period of time. And one of the things that happens with all these different authors is they tell a unified story about creation's fall and God's plan to save and redeem through the nation of Israel, the ancient nation of Israel. And they keep highlighting that, hey, one day there's going to be this figure who's going to arise who will be God's anointed king. This is the Hebrew word Mashiach. It means anointed king. So we get our word Messiah from. So this promised ruler who will set everything right, who will deal justly, who will be faithful to the Lord, who will bring God's reign on the earth that's rebelled against him. So the entire Old Testament, it finishes, and this person never shows up. And so you have all these prophecies of a Messiah that didn't arrive when the people who wrote the Old Testament were looking for him.
Well, I think the first place we should probably start is the prophecies that talk about Jesus' birth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's a bunch of places where it talks about where this Messiah is going to come from.
Right. And from whom.
Right.
He'll arrive as well. Yeah. So there are a few things to know about it. And I think the other thing to realize with this too is this is a thing where Jesus couldn't fake it. Right. If we're talking about like where a person is born or their lineage, they have no control over that.
Right.
Like it just kind of has to happen. Right. So there's a prophecy in the book of Micah that was written between 740 and 698 BC. So about 700 years before Jesus arrives on the scene. And Micah says this. He says, it's in Micah 5:2, "But you, Bethlehem, Ephrathah, though you are small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come for me one who will be ruler over Israel, whose origins are from old, from ancient times." Okay, so there's going to be this person who's born in Bethlehem, and they're going to be God's ruler for Israel. But it's an interesting note, whose origins are from old, from ancient times. So there's something about this person who arrives there, but they're older than they are when they're born, which is kind of crazy to say, right? Well, what do we know? We know Matthew 2:1, Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea during the time of King Herod. But it's not just where he was born. There's also stuff specifically around his lineage. So famous messianic prophecy would be Jeremiah 23:5, where this is written between 626 and 587 BC. So still almost 600 years prior to Jesus' birth. And the prophet says, "The days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will raise up for David a righteous branch, a king who will reign wisely and do what is just and right in the land." Okay, so I will raise up for David, meaning this person will be from King David, like who lived back in around 1000 BC, his family line. Okay, well, what do we know? Well, according to Matthew 1:1, this is the genealogy of Jesus, what Matthew calls the Messiah, Mashiach, right? The son of David, the son of Abraham. Again, Luke 1:32 says he will be great and will be called Son of the Most High. The Lord God will give him the throne of his father David. So the New Testament clearly attributes Jesus as being in the family line of David. So these are things he couldn't have just decided, well, I'll be this. Like, it very much comes out of just even the circumstances surrounding his birth.
Yeah. Not only where Jesus was born, but also the family that he was born into.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody can pick what family they're born into.
Right.
There's a whole lot of movies and books and stories.
And therapy. Yeah.
Because of the family you were born
Right.
into. Yet Jesus was born into the right family.
In the right place. Yeah.
At the right time. So if the prophecies said that he would be born in this place to these people, I guess that group of people maybe were waiting for this Messiah specifically, and they were probably excited for him to come.
They were definitely waiting for him. In fact, Jesus is well known to not be the only person in the first century who claims to be the Messiah. In terms of the way that Jesus arrived, I think perhaps there are prophecies that were overlooked. So for instance, there's this famous passage in Isaiah 53. It's called the suffering servant. And I heard a guy one time, he was a Jewish guy. He heard this, and a Christian was trying to say to him, like, look, this is a prophecy of Jesus in your Hebrew Bible. And the guy had never heard it before. So he took it to his rabbi, and he read him. I'll read you in just a second here.
Yeah.
And he said, like, Rabbi, who is this talking about? And the rabbi's response was, well, it sounds like Jesus, but it can't be Jesus because we're Jewish and we don't believe in Jesus. Okay? Like, because it's very, very specific. So let me just read this. This is Isaiah 51, Isaiah 53, starting verse 1. It says, "Who has believed our message, and to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? He grew up before him like a tender shoot, and like a root out of the ground. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him." So in other words, this person who rises up, who's going to be this faithful servant of the Lord, there's nothing about his earthly life that would make us go, wow, that's the guy. that he's so handsome, or he's so regal, he's got such prominence. No, there's none of that. He's a commoner. Okay? Nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. Now listen to this. Verse 3. "He was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering and familiar with pain. like one from whom people hide their faces. In other words, they see something grotesque and say, oh, they have to look away because of whatever happened to this guy. He was despised, and we, like Isaiah's talking about the people of God, held him in low esteem. So he's not valued among his own people. Now, verse 4, surely he took up our pain and bore our suffering, yet we considered him punished by God. So in other words, he's taking on himself what we deserved, but we believe that he's being punished by God for it. Stricken by him and afflicted. Verse 5, but he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his wounds we are healed. So this person suffers on behalf of everybody else, even though they don't realize that's what's happening. So finally, to make a long story short with this passage, I keep going, but I'll cut off for the sake of time. He just says, we all like sheep have gone astray, and each of us has turned to our own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. So this guy is punished for the sins of the people, like he dies for them. So when we talk about this idea of him being received by his people, here's Isaiah writing around 700 BC, saying it wasn't going to be like that. In fact, you jump forward about 100 years, you got the prophet Daniel, and he makes this claim about the arriving Messiah in Daniel 9:26. Listen to this. This is crazy. Okay, it says, after the 62 sevens, the anointed one, Mashiach, Messiah, will be put to death and have nothing. Okay, so or you could also translate, he'll be cut off from his people. He's like taken away from his people. He dies with nothing. Okay, listen to this. The people of the ruler who will come, because this is 600 BC, Daniel's writing this. The people of the ruler who will come will destroy the city and the sanctuary. Okay, so just to understand, Jesus dies around 30th to 33 AD. All right, and so you got this promise of a Messiah is going to arrive. He's going to be killed by his own people. He's going to be cut off. Okay, but then after that, an empire or a ruler who did not exist in Daniel's time, let's just call them, I don't know, the Romans, okay?
Wow.
Will destroy the city and the sanctuary. And that's exactly what happened in 70 AD. Like with the Jewish revolt against the Romans. The city of Jerusalem was sacked. The temple of the Lord in Jerusalem was destroyed, like brought down to the ground so that no stone was left on top of each other. That's why the temple of the Lord is not in Jerusalem anymore. So whoever this Messiah was, he would have to arrive during the time of a prophesied kingdom that it didn't exist in Daniel's day, and he would have to be killed before 70 AD because of this destruction of the city.
Wow.
Right?
And not only that he would be rejected by his own people, but he would also very specifically die in a very specific way.
Yeah, and the Old Testament prophecies are really explicit in that as well, right? So I mentioned King David earlier, who lived around 1000 BC. David in Psalm 22, it's this psalm that opens with him saying, my God, why have you forsaken me, right? It's a thing that Jesus actually says on the cross, and a lot of people think when he's doing that, he's basically telling them, look at Psalm 22, because they didn't number them in the way that we do. So, I think there's something to that, while also him being cut off from the Father as the wrath of God that we deserved fell upon him. So I don't think it's just him referencing. I think he very much experienced the wrath of God. But here's what David writes in Psalm 22, starting in verse 16. Listen to this. Dogs surround me. That was a term for Gentile, not Jewish person. Okay? Dogs surround me. A pack of villains encircles me. Listen to this, Mark. They pierce my hands and my feet. Verse 17. All my bones are on display. People stare and gloat over me. And verse 18. They divide my garments among them and cast lots for my clothing. Okay? So here's this person, and as far as we know, like, this never happened to David. Like when David is saying, like, they've pierced my hands and my feet, and the Gentiles are surrounding me, and all my bones are on display, being like I'm naked, like I'm exposed to the world, and they're actually taking my clothes and they're casting lots to divvy them up. That's nowhere in the Old Testament that ever happening to David. because most of us recognize, like, he was being prophetic. He was looking forward to a future figure whose means of death is a piercing of hands and feet, which sounds a lot like crucifixion to me.
Right.
His bones are on display. Sounds a lot like the victim of crucifixion who is stripped naked publicly. Who, like, his garments are divided and cast lots. The Gospels outline this is exactly what happened at the foot of the cross, because Jesus had a really nice tunic that they didn't want to tear, so they cast lots to just sort of decide who should get it. All right, and it's not just that. Zechariah 12:10, written around 520 BC. This is what God prophesies through Zechariah. He says, "And I will pour out on the house of David," can you remember that? Mm-hmm. "And the inhabitants of Jerusalem a spirit of grace and supplication." Look at this. God says about me, "They will look on me, the one they have pierced." And so we see this idea. We see that fulfilled, right? John 19:34 says, "When the soldiers pierced Jesus' side with a spear, bringing a sudden flow of blood and water." Like, these prophecies, they're very, very specific. And as best I can tell, right, so if we're just going, okay, Christians believe in Jesus because of specifically fulfilled prophecies. Okay, what have we seen? We've seen where he was born, his family line. We've seen the means through which he was killed, and you can't control that. Like, nobody can leverage the Roman government to do anything for them. And in that specific way, I mean, that's incredibly remarkable. We've seen a time frame for when it would happen, specifically what it would happen before, and that's exactly what happened. And you can't say, okay, well, Daniel knew that Jesus was going to die because he was in on it, and so he just, sort of fudged his prophecy so that it would fit with the life of Jesus. No, Daniel. Nobody contests if Daniel lived way, way, way before Jesus.
Right.
There's no cahoots here.
Well, I'm already sold. It's funny how there can be so many of these prophecies.
Yeah.
And that Jesus is fitting every single one of them. And just like the late, great Billy Mays. But wait, there's more.
Oh, great reference, man.
Thank you.
I feel like we don't reference Billy Mays as a culture enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, but back to it.
It's more like the culture saying Billy may not.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
That's where our ad's going to go.
How'd you like to sponsor this show?
Hi, Billy Mays here. I mean it though. There are already so many of these that you've gone through. It's like, well, why do Christians believe in Jesus? Well, if we look at the prophecies, Jesus fills them all.
Yeah.
And even though you've already listed a bunch of them, there's still more. There's still more to go through.
Oh, yeah.
Like, tell me about the way Jesus went to die.
Well, think about, I mean, we could talk about like his trial, right? So that suffering servant in Isaiah 53 that I referenced, here's what verse 7 says in that same long prophecy. So not like a sporadic verse here or there. Like, this is a chunk of scripture, right? Verse 7 says this: "He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, as a sheep is, or before its shearers is silent, so he did not open his mouth." Meaning, when he was being led to being killed, he never defended himself. He never opened his mouth in complaint. He just took it. Okay, well, what do we know about Jesus's trial? We know that he was quiet through it. He didn't make a defense. Like, that's why Matthew 27, verse 12 through 14 says, "When he was accused by the chief priests and elders, he gave no answer. Then Pilate asked him, 'Don't you hear the testimony they are bringing against you?' But Jesus made no reply, not even to a single charge, to the great amazement of the governor." Okay, so here he is, not defending himself in court. We know that, like, from that same suffering servant prophecy in Isaiah, like, here's verse 9. It says, "He was assigned a grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death, though he had done no violence, nor was any deceit in his mouth." Okay, so he was assigned a grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death. So he dies around wicked people, and he's given a grave with the rich. Okay, well, he dies between criminals, And you might remember, if you read the gospel stories, where is his tomb? A rich man named Joseph of Arimathea provides it, right? This is Matthew.
Wow.
Yeah, it's Matthew 27, verse 57 through 60. It basically says, as evening approached, there came a rich man from Arimathea named Joseph. Just jumping forward, Joseph took the body, wrapped it in a clean linen cloth, and placed it in his own new tomb. Okay? Again, Jesus would have no control over that. At that point, he's dead, right? And yet we know, look again, this reiterating this idea of him dying among criminals with the suffering servant of Isaiah 53, verse 12. Therefore, I will give him a portion among the great, and he will divide the spoils with the strong, because he poured out his life unto death. So he was obedient. He died, like he was obedient until death, and was numbered with the transgressors. Okay? Well, what do we know, Matt? Well, the Gospels, they crucified him between two rebels, one on his right, one on his left. That's Mark 15. Okay, so yeah, we know that he died in this way.
Going back to the trial thing, it was like these days, there's somebody drawing sketches of trials in the courtroom. There's somebody taking notes as to everything that's happening. Were trials and courtroom sentences, were they documented anything like today?
In a smaller way, we tend to have more rigorous records.
Yeah.
And we can talk about this actually, I think, a little bit on our Why Do Christians Believe in Jesus Part 3, when we talk about the history around it, because there are some things where, like, we know about the way they processed criminals, or they did court things that Luke actually lines up with.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So we might not want to get like too far ahead, but we know a little bit to say that, like, I mean, their due process isn't the right term, because they didn't view human liberties in the way that we do.
Okay.
But they definitely had standards and protocols for how trials were to be conducted. Sure.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like that's just a neat kind of direction that at least in terms of, when you have a government, the Roman government is involved in the death of Jesus.
Yeah.
If the prophecies, if quote unquote government records, if it all matches up, like, that's, Jesus doesn't have control over that.
Sure. I can't say too much with that before the next episode, because there's some stuff there.
Well, should we?
You call it a day now, and we'll just.
Yeah.
Well, let's pull a full Empire Strikes Back. So we're leaving on a cliffhanger. I'm in, man. I'm in
the medic bay.
Okay.
I just got my new robot hand.
Right.
We're gonna stare off into the nebula.
The next episode's frozen in carbonite somewhere. We gotta go find it.
Boba Fett.
Okay.
Well, our next episode is going to be the final episode in our Why Do Christians Believe in Jesus series. It'll be Jesus in history. So specifically, well, I guess I can't really break it down any more than that. Jesus in history is what we'll be talking about. If you have a suggestion for future topics, future episodes, maybe you'll come up with a question that's big enough that takes 3 episodes to explain.
I hope you do.
I challenge you to come up with it. We'd love to hear from you. Send your emails and questions to podcast@wearethebridge.org. Thanks for listening.